No way this burlap came from Dollar Tree. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first project is a burlap sign. When I saw these, I really wanted to try them out, these beautiful burlap pieces. So I got a variety. In the first project, we're going to use this little canvas with the sunflowers. We're going to use this polka dot burlap roll. I have some of my ribbon that I got on clearance last fall, and this is a sign that I got at the thrift store. We're going to start off by taking a little bit of this plaster colored chalk paint and going all over all the writing and the picture in the middle of this frame, because we're going to cover this up. I don't want any of that black to show through my burlap, so that's why I painted it. And now I'm just pressing it out, trying to get some of the bigger wrinkles out. To give you an idea of my frame size, these are the measurements. I am going to show you a little trick that I learned from Trish and Kay from Crafting Cousins. When you are doing burlap, you can just give a little clip, pull one string, and then you have a perfect line right up your fabric that you can cut on. This is perfect. This has been a time saver, and it keeps everything so neat. So I'm going to trim this down so that it is the right size to go on the inside of this box. I want the sides to fray a little more, so I'll pull off both sides and the top and bottom so it has just a little bit of that fringe, which I think makes it look a little more rustic, and I think is going to make it look so nice for spring and summer. See the fringe? Very nice. I'm going to grab my matte Mod Podge and a brush, and I just poured a little bit in there. I'm going to go all over where we painted, so all the way up to the edge of the frame and then all over the bottom. Then I'll take that piece of fabric that we cut, and I'm just going to press it down in here, and you can move it around when you first put it in there in the Mod Podge, because it gives it a little slip, so you can kind of move it around just a little bit. And I'm just going to pat and pull it over into position, and usually going from the middle outwards is helpful, and press it all down in that Mod Podge. At first you'll be able to see the Mod Podge come through, but it will dry clear. So after I get it on, I am going to apply some more over the top. I want this to completely become part of that frame. I don't want anything to peel off at any point. So going all over, especially those little edges, all around the corners, and just put a good coat on there. I'm trying to make it even. It's not super heavy, but I want it to be thick enough that I feel like it is saturating the fabric, because I do not want this to come off at any point, like I said. I really like it, and I love sunflowers, and they're perfect all summer to me, and of course in the fall. Now I'm going to take the hanger off the back of this little canvas that I got at Dollar Tree. And to make the finish the same, I'm just going to use clear matte Mod Podge to go over the top so that everything has the same type of appearance. It'll look milky until it's dry, and then both of these are dry now. We can put these down on that frame. So it's almost like we're making a double frame. I'm going to grab a little bit of my E6000, and my top is broken here, so I just take a little bead off the top with a stick, and this works perfect for my projects. I'm going to get all the corners and here and there down the middle, and then I'll grab my hot glue and then lay that down where we don't have the E6000. We will flip that over, and I just want this to be angled sort of in the bottom section of this frame. It's a little bit crooked, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned. This is a little mini wreath. I've had these forever, and then I found a pick that I thrifted very recently at the Goodwill bins. So I'm just going to take some of those pieces off. Looks kind of like rosemary. Just going to take those off, and I'll start laying them down in the same direction, overlapping about halfway all the way around this wreath. This is easy enough to do. I found that it's a little bit easier to put it down on the wreath and then apply it, but in some of the pieces I did actually put it on the back where it was flat. Trying to get sort of the flatter surface so it sticks down good, and so that the the bulk of it will kind of, you know, go off to the side a little bit. And we're going to go in this same motion all the way around, overlapping until it is completely full, and then it looks pretty symmetrical most of the way around. Once it's dry, it's going to look somewhat like this. I'm going to grab some of this beautiful ribbon and use this as a little, like a faux hanger for the top. It's really just going to be hanging the wreath, which has essentially the smallest amount of weight, hardly any weight at all. And then I will glue these two ends together. It's just a plain loop, nothing fancy about this. Glue those together, line them up on the end, and then we'll find our placement on the frame to put them there. I flipped my frame over, and I'm showing you what we have here. I'm going to go toward the middle, and I'm just using a little pin that I already had beside me, but I can see that. And I'm going to go right across it, about the width of that ribbon, to glue this down on the frame. I don't want my wreath to be hanging on top of the little canvas. I want to give it enough room that it's on top and spaced fairly evenly. We'll wrap that around the back and glue it down there. And to give it a little extra something, I got this little chest piece. I've used these in projects before, but I thought it would be really nice because of the color to just put this on the top, just for a little extra something. Looks sort of like a finial up there. And this is our first project. So far, so good. You can watch my videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Subscribe for free. The next project is a burlap vine wreath. We're going to use the sunflower burlap for this one. You've seen me use this wreath frame before. It is like a vine sort of wreath, and it's flat on the bottom and circular on the top, or semicircular. Just going to lay this down and kind of measure out about how much I'm going to use. Then I'll get a little more precise, flip it over, and then cut a little more off. I did not iron this piece. I wanted to show you can work with it even if it's not ironed. I'm going to take my little Dollar Tree clips over here. And these clips are very, very handy with wreath making. They are very handy for me when I am also doing any type of projects where I need a little extra help. So I'll start at the top, then I'll go to the bottom. Then I don't want to pull it too tight because I don't want it to distort the fabric. So I'm just going to, get it kind of taut. And then I'll make sure that my clips are where they should be. Once it's time to start gluing it down, I'll just lift up in sections, one clip at a time, and just press that into the glue. Grab a little spatula, get your finger protectors, whatever you need. You could even use a popsicle stick if you wanted to press that down into that frame, or into that wreath frame. And just continue along until all of your clips are removed and you have got glue all over it. If you want to give a little additional security, you can grab your glue gun, make a few beads going down the back, and then use a spatula to rub it down. Now this will peel right off of that burlap, whatever is left on top, so you don't have to worry about it looking too messy. I'm going to grab my scissors now and do a final trim. Anything that is left hanging off from the back that you can see when it is hung up in the front, we want to get that off. We want this to be nice and neat, and once it's glued down and cooled off, this is the easiest way that I have found to do this. I hope that it is helpful to you as well. So I have this beautiful sunflower left, and I want to pull off the greenery and put this little sunflower right down in this little wreath. But the stem is too big, so I'm going to cut it off with my wire cutters. Then I'm going to take my 4 leaves and put them down in this corner. You can see how the sunflower will look, just placed down in that corner. And I want these to almost look like an X, or like we got a north, south, east, west, or, it looks like an X, I think, when you're done. You just cross them over until you get the fullness you want. The more you overlap them, the shorter they'll be on the outside of the flower, so you won't see them as much. So I'm trying to leave some space so that you can still see that greenery once we glue the flower down. In other words, your leaf base needs to be wider than the flower if you want to see it once everything is glued down. And you see what I mean here? You can see those popping out around it. I'm going to hold that in place for a while until the glue is set up. Look at my cup that my son got me. My little boy got me this cup. Okay, so now we're going to take some of that beautiful ribbon and we're going to make some faux tails to go around the flower. I'm just going to fold it in half. We'll dovetail it. You see how I crossed it over here on the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of glue and press these together. So we just have little tails. I'm going to make 3 of these. So let's watch me do it one more time. Fold it in half, pinch them together, cut your dovetails. So now that's done. Then I'm going to pinch them and twist them around, and where they overlap I'm going to add some glue so it stays together in one piece. So now that I have 3, I'm going to place those around the flower. This will go tucked in between the leaves and the flower itself. Y'all, my grandbaby was born. I have my grandson. It took some time. My daughter crushed it. She did so well. I am so proud of her. The labor was much longer than any of us anticipated. But we have our boy here now, and we are so excited to have this new little addition to our family. And I'm telling you right now, for all of those people who told me that, you know, you love your kids one way, but when you have your grandkids, it's totally different. And I would agree with that. And it's so hard for me to explain. And had I not had this grandchild, then I guess I never would have realized that. It's different types of love, you know? It's different types. And that little boy has got my heart. Oh my gosh, he is the most adorable little thing. And he is a very chill baby. And oh, I just love him to death. I could talk forever about him. But anyway, so I'm going to take this ribbon and we double it over twice so that we have 2 loops on each side. Then I'll flip it over and tie it in the middle. Once it's tied, you've got the top of your bow. And now we'll work on the tails. This is about 14-inch strips of this ribbon. We're going to just put those together, fold them over, dovetail them. And the same process that we use for the little tails around the flower, we're going to use to make bigger tails for the bow. You see how they're folded? And now I'll just grab my glue gun and go in between while I'm holding it. And all of those little folds, I will glue those down. That way it doesn't try to pop up or come apart. I'll use my glue gun to put these 2 pieces together. So now we have the bow loops and we have the tails. You can use any type of bow you want to use here, or you honestly don't have to use a bow at all. I know a lot of people just do not care for bows. Totally fine. I'm going to show you how to do it, but you can certainly leave it off. So once I got the tails on, I decided I want the front one a little bit shorter so you can see more of the layer. So I just go back in there and cut it off. Not a big deal. Once you get your bows on, you can decide if you want to change anything up or not. Then I thought, okay, we need another sunflower. But I have no more silk sunflowers, so that's bad. Gonna have to get more before fall. I thought, okay, let's use Mod Podge and let's stiffen this. I think you could probably use something like a starch to maybe make this work, but this worked really well with this Mod Podge. It's the same matte Mod Podge. All I'm doing is just, I put some on the paper, then I'm gonna peel it off and let it dry on that plastic. Then it will peel off easily. Once it is dried and it is firm, I'm going to take my little detail scissors, I'm going to cut around it, and then I'm going to cut little points in between where the petals are. I have found for me this is the easiest way to cut around those tiny pieces. So this is how it's going to look when you start trimming it up, and this is how it looks once it's finished. Now I don't want to smash my bow by placing this right down in the center and probably warping the way my flower looks. So I'm going to use something to lift it up above just a little. This is a stacking block. This came from, I got this at Goodwill. It's about the same size though, if I had to guess, as the ones that you can get at Dollar Tree. So, you know, just use what you have there. And then I'm going to glue this on top. This is going to give it some lift and keep the bow from being squished and the flower from being squished. I'll just take a little bit of floral wire and go around the back. You can go around the vine because any little rope could also, you know, that could tear. So you want to put it around a firm part. And this way I can slide it back and forth if I need to get it even. The next is burlap tags. This is a set of 2. Maybe my favorite one so far. Grab up some Dollar Tree ribbon, some Dollar Tree burlap. I'm using bees for this, and 2 Dollar Tree signs. These happen to be ones that were around at Christmas time, but let's use them now. I'm going to take off the tags and the hangers for both of them. If you want to peel the fronts off and use those, you can, but the back is already so pretty and clean. Let's just take these tags off and use the back. Save ourselves some time. All right, I'm going to start with the honeycomb. Place that down here. And the same way as we had done before, I'm just going to take a little snip here so I can get into it and then pull a long string out. That's going to give us our line. You can see here, it's like a run and some pantyhose. Pantyhose run. And we're going to cut along that line to get a nice straight line. Then we're going to flip the fabric and the sign over. Kind of get it somewhat centered so we have enough to grab off both sides. I'm going to add some hot glue here on the end and fold that up. And then we'll go all the way around just like that. I'll show you how to deal with the corners. All right. If you're enjoying this video and these projects, it would help me so much if you would give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel and you would love to see more creative, budget-friendly DIYs, then be sure you subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you as part of my family, and I love chatting with you in the comment section. Alright, so we're just going to continue around and press this all down into the glue. It will hold nicely because that glue just gets right into the fibers of that burlap and just locks it into place. I love it. You can see how we do the top when you fold. Around the corners, you're just going to add a little bit of glue, fold it in on itself. Okay, and then you'll go right along that fold with some hot glue and press it into there. Easy to do. Don't worry about the way the back looks on these signs. You can always cover this with craft paper if you would like. Or maybe some black felt or something like that if you want to do it that way. If you're not hanging this on the door, nobody's going to see the back, so you can save your product. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with the bee tag until we have 2 beautiful tags just like this. We will start working with the honeycomb one. Now on this one, we are going to do a stencil. These stencils came from Temu. I ordered these beautiful little things. I love them. I'm not sponsored by Temu in any way, shape, or form. I don't have codes or anything for you here, but lots and lots of crafters are doing hauls for Temu and are working with Temu, so feel free to go check those out if you want to find one. And then these are really great though. I really like these stencils, and since I'm not sponsored, you can truly believe what I'm saying here. I love these stencils. This worked out very nicely for me. Okay, so I'm going to take my stencil brush, I'm going to pat it down in there and just offload most of it. Offload means I'm just going to pounce it around until I don't have a wet brush. It's almost dry, but it still has paint. I'm going to go up to the stencil here and start going in circles. I'll just go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, all over the top of that stencil so that the paint goes straight down in there. My understanding is that if you pounce it upside down, you may get fuzzy edges, and I have actually done projects before where I have done the little pouncing technique, and I do end up with those little mess there. So check this out though. That is so crisp. That turned out great, and I just used the chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree. So you see the little gaps here? We're going to use what's called a bridge brush to go in between each of those little gaps. So instead of looking like a stamp or a stencil, it will look hand painted and complete. I'm just going to go right over all the little gaps. You can see what I'm doing here. This is easy enough to do. Steady yourself, hold on to your wrist, whatever you need to do. Get your magnifiers on, and look what a difference that makes. I'm loving the bee project, y'all. This is a little scrap. It almost looks like a wagon wheel. I'm not really sure, but I keep this kind of stuff when I find it. I'm just going to use this as a little ring for the top. So I'm going to go over it with that same paint, and since I had this brush, I just used that. Let it dry, and then once it's dry, you can use it. This is a little awl that came with a basket making kit. I'm going to use this to go right through that hole. I can see it from the back, so I'll start on the back side and just kind of wiggle it back and forth until you can see the opening. That way you'll be able to get your rope in there the way you need it. So we're going to cut 3 pieces of this jute cord, and I think I probably have about 14 inches for each of these pieces, and we're going to make a braid instead of just using a regular string through here. I just thought I would try something new. You certainly don't have to do it this way, but it's just something different. I'm going to use some of my painter's tape to tape it to my table right where the knot is, where I connected them together, and then I put one of my little electricity things on top. And then I think most of y'all know how to braid. You just take the inside, cross it over, and I'm going to go all the way down like this, back and forth, until I get the length that I like. Then I am going to add hot glue all the way around it and then cut it off. Now it's got a good finish like a shoelace. I'll take that little round piece. I guess we're kind of using it like a grommet, and I will settle that right down over the top where the hole is in the B tag. Then I'm going to just push this through. I'm going to use my awl here to just help pull it through. And then I will thread that also through the one that's got the honeycomb in it. I'm going to take the 2 ends of those pieces of jute or the braided rope, and I am going to tie that in a knot so that they are attached. I'm going to feed that all the way through so it's smooth on the top and the knot is in the back. Then I'm going to add hot glue to hold these 2 tags together. You can use clamps to hold it in place too if you would like to do that, if you need the help. You can add that hot glue because sometimes these things will bow. Hold down on this or put something heavy on it until the glue is dry. While that is setting up, we're going to go over here to our ribbons, and we're going to use 4-inch pieces of ribbons. I'm using Dollar Tree ribbons and some stuff I already had. So I've got 2 of the bees, I've got 4 of the honeycomb. This is also some Temu ribbon. I've got 2 pieces of that, and then 2 pieces of this white linen. It's more of a cream color though. And I'm just going to make an X. I'm going to go over and over with whichever colors, whichever way you want to do it. If you don't want to put it in a pattern, you don't have to. You can just throw them all down there and just pick it up and put them any which way you want to. Just going to continue to cross over. Just like that. Alright, so then we can flip this over. Once we got the stack all together, I like to finish with the little bees on top. We're going to flip it over, and I'm going to tie it. Now the ribbons in the back are wider. They're going to try to fold up or curl up, and that's fine. Just take your time here, and you can just push those back down. I'm going to slowly do it where it's not too bunched up and messy. Try to keep it in shape. And then I'm going to tie a double knot. You can flip it over and tie it in the front if you want. Flip it out a little bit, pull those pieces out, almost like when you're playing cards and you've got your cards in your hand and you kind of push them to the side so you can see all of your cards. You kind of can do this bow that way, so you can see all the different ribbons. You can trim off what you're not going to use. Very easy. And then you could leave it like that, or if you want to go around the middle of it. I just thought I'd go around the middle of it with a little bit of this same cream color linen ribbon, just for the heck of it. You certainly don't have to. The jute looks fine. Once that is all together, we're going to glue it down, and I want this right underneath where we put that little, I guess you could call it a wagon wheel, but it's our grommet for this, I guess. And then if you want to leave your ribbon straight, you can. You can dovetail these little ribbons. It takes a little more focus, but you can. Or you can just do like I'm doing and go in there and cut you some slants just to look like it has a nice clean finish. Some people like to take a little heat and kind of burn those edges, but for now, they're not gonna come apart, so we're gonna leave it just like this. And remember, cover your backs if you need to make it nice and neat. If you're gonna give it as a gift, if you're planning on selling it, or if you're gonna use it on a glass door. Here are the 3 projects that we did today with that outstanding burlap fabric that I got from Dollar Tree. The fabric is just as good, in my honest opinion, as the fabric that I have gotten before from burlapfabric.com. I have worked with them. I know what a good quality feels like, and these are really, really nice. I hope that you all can find these in your crafting sections in your Dollar Tree. These were a lot of fun to work with, and just the look of all these I think is just so pretty. I bought a bunch of this fabric, y'all, a bunch of it, because I will be using it. A lot of people are liking the bee projects and the sunflower projects, so I hope that you are enjoying them as well. Remember to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any information on this channel. You won't miss videos, and you will not miss any updates that I put in the community post if you hit the little bell. I thank you so very much for stopping by and for all the well wishes for my daughter and the baby. And I hope to see you again real soon. Bye.